but also there is sunset, which is at about 5:45, so things do have to stay on schedule. They can't slip. So order came across the line, but the red flag was out before anybody set a lap time. So really, what should have been 2 sessions today becomes just this one, and it takes on importance. The fact that they've been given 2 free practice sessions this year, with the extra day being put onto the event, hasn't done anything at all. It matches last year when they only got 1 session anyway, but now the pressure is on.
Yeah, it is, and the pressure is on as well to not have another interruption to the session, as the word is given down on pit lane for Formula 4 cars to leave in the glorious sunshine here at Macau. Down pit lane they go, and some of the teams electing to keep their cars back to the end of the pack, some electing to get straight out on circuit, get some heat into the tyres and get a lap in nice and early. They have to make this session work.
And the race director has said that in order for people to they just want cars to go out.
Really sensible.
Yeah, cycle through the process of getting everything up to temperature.
That's a good decision from race control, because, yeah, without a lap on the board really in free practice 1, they can't afford to do that. They can't go into done laps. They have to have these very important laps in free practice 2 now.
I would say they can, and it will show you who the good drivers and the good teams are.
It would.
But I take your point.
Yeah.
You know, on a circuit like this, it's slightly unfair, because that's what the purpose of free practice is really there for. But yeah, you know, there are some championships that throw you straight into qualifying, and it's an interesting way of doing it. But yeah, on a track like this, you want as many opportunities to learn and to gain data.
Just really from a safety point of view, you need to dial yourself in for the weekend, and that's what this 25-minute session is going to be all about. No overtaking on this out lap, and then it's on with business. And it was important as well to hear from Rob Huff earlier on, telling us about the housekeeping that he was doing in a touring car during free practice 1. They've got the same work to do in Formula 4 as well. They have to bed things in. They have to get tyres scrubbed in for the weekend, brakes bedded in, all of those regular things, part and parcel of a race weekend. And setting yourself a good race weekend involves good housekeeping on day 1.
And of course, the way that the event has morphed in the last couple of years means that you've got local drivers that normally drive perhaps a touring car or a GT car being able to compete in the Grand Prix, because it's at F4 rather than F3. They wouldn't have got a seat necessarily. They wouldn't have felt confident in an F3 car maybe. But it also means that not only are you trying to learn the track or learn about the car or learn how to work with the team, but you're adapting from a head or your head and wheels covered to something like this, completely different type of race car.
Yeah, remembering what a single-seater is all about, because inevitably they would have had plenty of opportunity in their careers to be in a single-seater car, but when you get into one from a tin top or a GT car, it's a very different beast, isn't it?
I was into this at number 14, for example, Brian Lee, who's won GT4 within the GT World Challenge Asia this season. So, you know, this he can do. It's accessible at local F4 level, but had it been a Formula 3 race, he'd never been able to get on the grid. Right, yellow flags are now withdrawn. We are back to green. We have 16 cars out on the circuit, 17 in the entry, and so it is something that we are not seeing, and I suspect we will not see again. The driver was okay after that accident this morning, but it was quite a big hit.
Yeah, it was an incredibly big hit, and particularly bearing in mind it was so early on in the session as well.
Yeah, it was really a first flying lap, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
And in fairness to the race officials, it was an instant stop. I mean, they saw what had happened and said, red, straight away. There was no hanging about.
Yeah, incredibly experienced team that work in race control and around the circuit as well, and not just experienced in motorsport, but specifically with experience of offers its own particular challenges over the course of a race weekend.
So right now, drivers trying to get into a rhythm, gain data, get a feel for the car, for the Kumho tyre on which they run. And the field streams downhill, and we'll start to get an idea of lap times. I can't offer you anything from the first session. We can only go back 12 months.
However, we have got further than we got in FP.
That is true. Now, this is not only the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix, but also a round of the Formula 4 China Championship, Chinese Championship, which is being dominated by Gerard Shea with 7 wins out of 8 races. They've had all 8 across 2 different race weekends at the Ningbo circuit. So the data is the data is the data, really, and the drivers have been able to go there and do the bulk of the racing, again, because of the travel restrictions. But a very different circuit now for 2 races. So you've got the Macau Grand Prix in itself, but also point-scoring races within the Chinese Formula 4 Championship.
Still getting heat into the tyres. Ambient temperature 25 degrees here at Macau. Sunshine, bit of cloud in the sky, and getting heat into the tyres is fairly critical. They've had 1 lap already, but on this nice wide part of the circuit, look at that multiple dual carriageway, and they get the opportunity to really properly weave these little Formula 4 cars.
Yeah, Miguel chassis, Geely engines, and something has appeared on the timing screen that we have not had in a Formula 4 session today: a lap time, because now people are getting on with the job, they're keeping out of strife, and we are getting times. So the good news is a benchmark to aim for, and it is Qing Zhefang, who's been a regular in the China Championship, is for the moment at the top, but we're looking at a proper lap time really coming up this time.
And a benchmark time under 2:40, so a 2:39.214 is the benchmark time for car number 56. Top of the times, Jing Tu Feng, and in second position is, perhaps not surprisingly, on the first of the flying laps, is the driver that's looking for a hat-trick this weekend at Macau, and not just any hat-trick, a back-to-back hat-trick.
That's Charles that Alan says has won for the last 2 years, and his runner-up for the last 2 years is here as well, that being the Macanese driver Andy Chang, who drives number 8. Charles Leung, you can see number 11, that's him. And Gerard Shea is now the driver that has, there he is, going through the shot, done an absolute best in Sector 1, personal best Sector 2. So he's currently 4th in the times, but Gerard Shea is one to watch here. Makes the run now up through Donna Maria onto the Macau hairpin, where that yellow flag remains, because there just isn't the opportunity to get cars side by side into the hairpin. And he accelerates downhill, but qualifying on the championship has given him pole position out of every qualifying session. And Gerard Shea should be on here to go to the top of the times, I would have thought.
So, top of the times at the moment, after 1 flying lap, Jen Seng with a 2:39.214. Charles Leung, car number 11, second quickest on the first flying lap, 2:40.022. And we have a change for second place with the second of the flying laps. In fact, we have a change at the top of the order as well. It's car number 3, Gerard Shea, Wing Lam from Hong Kong, that goes to the top of the times, 2:34.131. This is good news. They are going to get opportunity to put in some back-to-back laps, and that's what you need. You need to get into the swing of a session. A chance they never had opportunity in FP1, but they are in FP2.
So Gerard Shea the fastest, and I think we're right in saying he's not raced here before. Then you've got second fastest, double winner Charles Leung, and third fastest, double runner-up Andy Chang. So it's a really interesting top three, this. A very, very competitive Macau Grand Prix this year.
And it will, of course, be 2 qualifying sessions tomorrow and a qualification race on Saturday, following the normal course of events that we would have had for Formula 3 cars around Macau. So with Gerard Scher, top of the times, 2:34.131, 2:34.131, and Charles Leung a 2:34.389, Andy Chang with a 2:35.429. That's the top 3.
And Patrick Sang, who's just been in the pits on his way back onto the circuit, 56, drops downhill. Qing Zhefang, who comes here a long way down in the championship, but he has been a regular within the Formula 4 China Championship this year. 27, next in that queue, Li Si Chang, who was 3rd in the Macau Grand Prix last season. And again, he's been another driver in the Chinese Championship. Out of the hairpin, power on, drag the car out of the corner, drop down the hill.
Seemingly easy to get around the Macau hairpin. I know they're not, but
yeah,
we've seen big GT3 cars muscling their way around that corner today. Just probably on the exit of the corner. They are a handful to get around the Macau hairpin, and these much smaller single-seaters seem to make it look a bit of a breeze, don't they?
Yeah, they're much narrower, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got to get the right amount of lock on. So there, up towards the timing line, goes Qing Zhefang, and he is 3rd fastest now, 3.7 seconds back in Gerard Scher. Charles Leung 2nd, and Andy Chang, still hunting for that elusive Macau win, is down to 5th in the times now.
Brian Lee, 7th place, car number 14, regular here at Macau over the years. Top of the times, car number 3, Gerard Scher with a 2:31.253. Up the order goes number 17 up to 8th. That's now in the Grid Motorsport entered Miguel. So good improvement there, and a good improvement as well for Henry Lee Jr. Briefly up to 8th place, now 10th place as everybody else improves on times at the conclusion of the 3rd flying lap in this free practice 2 session. 12.5 minutes remain.
Brian Lee was one of the improvers, and then Lin Li Fang was another improver, so they're up to 8th and 9th, and as you say, that pushes Henry Lee Jr. back down to 11th.
But meanwhile, still that 2:31, half a second between the top 2. Charles Leung in 2nd place, and Gerard Scher, top of the times, 2:31.253. That time stands. But this is the important thing for the Formula 4 cars. They are getting in meaningful laps. They can build lap after lap after lap. They can get into a swing in the session, and that's so important.
Yeah, it is, no question. And again, here you've got, for example, the car of Li Si Chang shadowing the car of Qing Zhefang ahead. So what that is enabling him to do is to have a point of reference. He can see what other drivers are up to. He can moderate his car ahead, know when to push, know when not to push. Others trying to get the pressures and the temperatures back up in the Kumho rubber. You can see weaving about in the background. There's Charles Leung then, the double winner, going for 3 in a row to make history, if he can do it, in the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix. Breaks the beam and goes through, but stays 2nd, but he's narrowed the gap a little bit down to 0.229 of a second.
How much would that mean to a Macau driver to write your name into the history books, and it will be there forever, whatever happens?
Absolutely. Charles Leung has raced in Europe in Formula. He's an Asian Formula Renault champion, a China F4 champion, but sort of needs to use 2 or maybe at the end of the weekend 3 Macau Grand Prix wins to come back into European racing, I would have proposed.
Really pushing on as well. You see the car skipping between Lisboa and San Francisco. Up the hill they go into this series of unique tests of the Macau circuit. See, these Formula 4 cars can move around as well, can't they?
Yeah, they can. Everyone's got the same base car, everybody's got the same engine, the same tyre, but it's how you work with your team on the setup to get the most out of it, and that's where knowledge of the car from the team's point of view, knowledge of the circuit from your point of view comes into play. And Charles Leung down in the first sector quicker than anybody in the second, so there he is. Can he round out the session with the top time? We've got still 10 minutes on the clock.
Can recover from a down on sector 1. It's a short sector. Sector 2, purple. Sector 3, the long sector. And we've seen you can not necessarily have an ultimate brilliant first 3 sectors, but you can catch it all up on the final very quick sector.
And right now for Charles Leung, it looks like the traffic does allow. Big task wheel behind as drivers just break that fraction too late, puts them on the wrong line into the hairpin that compromises the run round the corner, back on the power, down now towards Fisherman's. But Gerard Shea still fastest by a fifth of a second. This is Charles Leung attacking down in sector 1, better than Emil Snorvest in sector 3. He needs something in the low 2-minute 31s or even the high 2:30s here to put himself at the top of the times. Can it be done? Accelerates up towards the line. Andy Chang goes fastest ahead of all of them. And then across the line they go, and it is a time for Charles third. But Andy Chang is the one that's really benefited there, up to the top of the times now on 2 minutes 30.188.
This is what we asked for. We're going to get a battle this weekend, aren't we?
Yeah.
And it's the names that we could essentially pick out before they'd even turned a wheel around the Macau circuit. Going to be superb. Andy Chang, top of the times, car number 8, 2:30.188.
But it's almost like a race situation, this, because you've got here Charles Leung battling, whereas Andy Chang is behind, so he's not being held up by any traffic. He's just getting on with the job. So Charles Leung versus Gerard Shea together on the road, and then Andy Chang behind them. Those are the 3 favourites for the win, and there they all are on track as Andy Chang does an absolute best first sector.
All pushing each other on, and you know what your rivals are doing. If you're with them on track, you know just how impressive they are on this particular lap. Yep, purple for Andy Chang on sector 1. Car number 8, the third of the 3 cars that we're watching. Into the testing section of the circuit, the narrow the circuit through the Solitude S's. Ultimately ending at Macau after they negotiate police and Moorish.
So Andy Chang, you're looking at his lap against his earlier best. Big lock up there. That was Gerard Shea, wasn't it? Getting it wrong, number 3. That brings Andy Chang right onto his tail, but it also puts him right up behind him, and therefore compromise, and another error made by Gerard Shea. Look, oh so deep into the hairpin, getting in the way of Andy Chang. Now, if that were a race situation, of course, that would be significant, but in a free practice session, it doesn't matter quite. It's errors like that that can turn a race here upside down.
It can also offer a few vibrations in the car after a lock-up like that. The tiniest of flat spots could offer some kind of vibration inside a single-seater car, and that was quite a puff of tyre smoke, wasn't it, for Gerard? Andy Chang is top of the times, and it's a 2:30.188. Last lap, 2:31.056. So, although the top 3 are all circuit, there are improvements down the order. Up to 8th place is car number 32, Chen Chi Ho, Macau driver, with a 2:40.225. The top 7, all in the 2:30s. 2:30.188 for Andy Chang. Top of the times through San Francisco. Up the hill they go. And we've got 5 minutes and 20 seconds remaining on the clock. Two of them are absolutely glued together, aren't they? Andy Chang right on the tail.
Yeah, but the trouble is he's stuck now because Gerard Shea's not going to let him by, because then he'll get stuck in traffic.
Correct.
So he's trying to keep Andy Chang at bay, but that in turn is compromising his own lap times here. 5 minutes to go.
It's a very entertaining battle.
It is, yeah.
Just to remind ourselves, this is only free practice. However, although it's free practice 2, it's really the first free practice they've had.
What's impressive, though, is that Gerard Shea, who's a newcomer to the circuit, is splitting the top 2 from last year and indeed the year before's race. So he may be of limited experience here, Gerard Shea, but he's doing a very good job.
Another lock up there.
And a waved yellow flag at Marshall's post 6 as well, so somebody's had a moment.
And that's going to be at San Francisco. Significant part of the circuit, that, as they head on to the twisty section. So a problem at San Francisco.
And another red flag, and I would think that's going to be it.
I think you're right. To recover the car, which is causing the double waved yellows at San Francisco, is going to be greater than the remaining 4 minutes on the clock. However, the good news is that they had 21 minutes running in free practice 2, which is 20 minutes more than they had in free practice 1.
And they've got some proper lap times in, and we've also seen that it's going to be competitive, as we have been predicting, between Andy Chang, Gerard Shea and Charles Leung. Drivers bailing from the cars, knowing they're not going to get a chance to go back out.
Yeah.
Confirmation. No restart. Yeah.
This session has now finished. There will be no restart. Please put your cars into the pit box. Thank you.
So the team's being told to put the cars away. That's it. So haven't had a lot to do today, relatively speaking, with a session that never was and a truncated one right now. But Andy Chang means business. I think he was very frustrated last season that he couldn't quite outpace Charles Leung, but this year he's come back stronger than ever. 56, which is the car of Qing Shefang, ending the session 5th quickest on a 2:33.033. But Andy Chang, the man of the hour, by taking the fastest time in the second session. And there was the reason for the stoppage, which was Patrick Sang's car, I think, cannoning off the barrier. And again, doing a lot of damage to the rear section. So Patrick Sang's car. But it was certainly a big hit, wasn't it?
And it wasn't at San Francisco, which is where I thought Marshall Post 6 was.
Okay. That's another reason why... Oh, no, not Patrick Sang. It is Liu Qingxi's car, number 9. So that's the reason for the stoppage. So Liu Qingxi is the driver. Red flag.
Just on the run up towards Marshall Post 6. So
it means Andy Chang is the fastest from Gerard Shea and Charles Leung. 4th fastest goes to Li Si Chang from Jing Zhefang, and then 6th fastest was Liu before the accident. So 6th quickest, but now with a badly damaged car, and work for the team to do tomorrow before it goes out for the first of the 2 qualifying sessions that we're in China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix.